I beheld my second aunt and second uncle, their faces aglow with pride, their heads held so high as if they could touch the sky, exuding an air of utmost arrogance. My third aunt and the rest of the relatives were filled with intense envy. The Young family was a well-known wealthy clan nationwide, a leading force in the real estate industry, with an immeasurable net worth in billions. Now that her daughter had become involved with the Young family, even a meager share of their resources would be more than an ordinary person could earn in a lifetime. Lu Ruyan reveled in the envious glances of everyone, and continued to show off with pride. Most importantly, Yang Ling treats me extremely well. Yesterday he took me shopping for numerous clothes and even gifted me a villa. Here are the photos of the villa. Take a look. Amid a chorus of admiring exclamations, Lu Ruyan's vanity reached its zenith, and she seemed on the verge of taking flight with her haughty demeanor. Don't assume that just because he's a rich second generation, he has a proud temperament. He's actually very gentle and has an excellent character. Qingqing and Yang Ling were classmates from primary school through university. She should have some understanding of his character, right? The eyes of the crowd turned towards me. I snapped out of my reverie. The last time I was asked such a question, I had poured cold water on her enthusiasm. I revealed Yang Ling's true perverted nature and tried my best to persuade her to break off the relationship as soon as possible. Otherwise, it would be too late to extricate herself, and she would surely end up in a tragic situation. Yang Ling had a violent temper in primary school. He was the school bully, constantly bullying his classmates and even deliberately killing a homeless person. Due to his young age, he wasn't sentenced or given any punishment. Moreover, with his family's powerful connections, the matter was quickly suppressed. Only a few people knew about it. Coincidentally, I was one of the unfortunate witnesses of Yang Ling's murder at that time, which left a huge shadow on my childhood. Later, I also accidentally learned the reason why Yang Ling killed that homeless person. It was incredibly unimaginable and absurd. He said it was for fun, so he just killed him since it wouldn't cause him any trouble. After that, I transferred to another school. Until university, unfortunately, I was assigned to the same class as Yang Ling. He didn't recognize me, and I had no intention of forging any relationship with him. I knew that Yang Ling had not only not mended his ways over the years, but had become even more perverted because I accidentally discovered his cat-torturing behavior. It wasn't the kind of torture that ordinary people might imagine. Yang Ling built a factory building, captured hundreds or even thousands of cats, used veterinary drugs and watched them kill each other. When the ground was covered with blood and mutilated limbs, he would strip naked and join in, wildly slashing with a knife. I knew about this because the factory building he rented belonged to my boyfriend's family. When the property was inspected after the lease ended, although the other party arranged for the scene to be cleaned up, the strange smell lingered. My boyfriend was in the same grade as me but in a different class. After hearing me talk about Yang Ling, he became suspicious. He checked the hidden surveillance and then vomited violently. My boyfriend also told me something else. He learned from a friend that Yang Ling was extremely perverted in matters related to relationships. At yacht parties and such, he even caused a minor to have an abortion that led to her death. He changed girlfriends in batches. When I revealed these secrets, the faces of my second aunt, second uncle, and Lu Ruyan turned extremely ugly. Later, I realized that they were not only afraid that Yang Ling's perversion might harm Lu Ruyan but also felt humiliated because their pride had been publicly deflated, hence their embarrassing expressions. They had been showing off as if their ancestors were blessed, but in the next second, I had cast them from heaven to hell. After Lu Ruyan's expression changed from elation to gloom, she still didn't believe me and asked if I was deliberately saying these things out of jealousy because she was about to rise to a high-class status. At that time I didn't think much. Concerned only about family ties, I patiently explained to her, truly fearing that she was walking into a pit of fire. My second aunt, second uncle, and the rest of the relatives, persuaded by others, came to their senses and quickly asked Lu Ruyan to break up with Yang Ling. They even booked her a flight ticket. She was to fly far away and lie low until the situation cooled down. What seemed to be a windfall from the sky was likely a heavy iron disc instead. They not only couldn't catch it but would be smashed to pieces. After this incident, Lu Ruyan found a man with a decent family background and a down-to-earth personality to marry. It was definitely a high-status marriage for her. But she was so reckless that she didn't manage her marriage well, always looking for something better while having something good already. As a result, she ended up in such a miserable state. She even complained that it was me who had broken up her and Yang Ling otherwise. Her life would be 10 or even 100 times better than mine. If I hadn't listened to you and had stayed with Yang Ling, I'm sure I would be his true love, able to make him give up his bad habits and turn over a new leaf, and I would be a wealthy wife with billions of assets. Eventually, she got drunk and, in a fit of anger, slashed me and my husband to death. She herself ended up in prison in a sorry state. My second aunt and second uncle, instead of reflecting, turned on us. After Lu Ruyan was imprisoned, They even cursed at my family. They said it was all because of my meddling. I hadn't let their daughter be with the rich second generation, which led to the subsequent tragedy, and they demanded that my parents compensate them with several million yuan. I saw clearly that she was doomed to a miserable fate. Why did I even bother to persuade her? Lu Ruyan, that ungrateful wretch, deserved to be tormented to death by Yang Ling. Whether it was being treated like a shared bicycle at the Haitian carnival or being subjected to candle and whip play and such BDSM activities, it had nothing to do with me. Having been reborn, I will never be so stupid as to give my heart and soul to someone unworthy. Everyone was waiting for my answer. I smiled and said, well, I really don't know much about Yang Ling's true nature. I'm usually either at the library or traveling. I don't interact much with my classmates. But when it comes to your relationship, you know best. If you think he's good, then he is. The three-member family of my second aunt seemed satisfied with my answer. I seemed to hear my second uncle mutter softly, bookworm. She's 25 or 26 and still can't bring a partner home. I rolled my eyes, too lazy to say anything more. My husband from my previous life, now my boyfriend, is currently engaged in starting a business. The crucial thing is that we have already met each other's parents. We just haven't informed others yet. We're waiting for an opportune moment to get married and obtain the marriage certificate. I thought to myself, you better worry about yourselves. Just you wait and see how you manage to live your lives. At this family banquet, my second aunt's family became the center of attention. When they were clinking glasses and drinking with everyone, they carried an air of condescension. My second uncle's eyes swept over the crowd, eagerly awaiting others' envy to satisfy his vanity. While drinking, he boasted nonstop, irritating everyone. The other relatives advised, second uncle, it's still too early to celebrate. You've just started dating. Don't get too carried away. However, my second uncle, emboldened by alcohol, flared up, shouting that they were all jealous of him and cursing him. Eventually, the gathering ended on a sour note. I watched their family quietly, remaining silent. A few days later, I scrolled through Lu Ruyan's WeChat moments. She was wearing a Lolita-style dress, but it was not a proper one. It looked rather provocative. In the corner there were incomplete shots of a small whip, candles, a collar and such. She had deliberately taken the photo to create a sense of being both innocent and alluring. Presumably, she was quite satisfied with this photo. In my view, though, it was rather vulgar. Perhaps Lu Ruyan didn't notice it herself, but I saw a ring of bruises on her neck. A shiver ran down my spine, and I involuntarily took a sharp breath. This Yang Ling is really perverted. He must have been into asphyxiation play. I didn't know how extreme their play had been, but it was evidently no simple matter. Most likely, Yang Ling was gradually unleashing his violence. And don't think that Lu Ruyan would gain any benefits after enduring this violence. Some people might offer financial compensation after playing with others' feelings, but Yang Ling wasn't that type. In his eyes, a plaything was something to be casually discarded. Subsequently, Lu Ruyan specifically sent me a message to show off. Sister, Yang Ling really knows how to add spice to the relationship. Dating him is exciting and blissful. This man completely meets my fantasy of a future husband. You have no idea how happy I am now. I rolled my eyes and casually replied, congratulations. As long as you two lead a good life, that's better than anything. I thought to myself, that whip must have been making you scream. And you're still so proud. I'll just quietly watch when this fool gets played out. She then said, sister, you don't send an emoji. Your message seems so cold. Are you actually jealous while seemingly congratulating me? I was so annoyed that I wanted to kick her. What kind of thought process is this? Lu Ruyan continued to show off. Sister, I know Yang Ling has had many girlfriends before, dozens of them. But he was just playing with them. Only I am his true love. A reformed rake is the most precious. I recalled in my previous life, I earnestly advised her not to believe that she could reform a playboy. I told her she was an ordinary person. Why on earth did she think she was the one to change him? Staying away from playboys was the only way to protect herself. But there are just some people who can't tell who's good for them. You sincerely want to prevent them from taking the wrong path, yet they think you're harming them. In fact, they rush towards those who truly mean to harm them. In short, they're just masochistic. I set her messages to do not disturb and continued working on my phone. Suddenly, the door of the office was pushed open. My boyfriend rushed in with a look of great anxiety. As soon as he saw me, he grabbed my hand and asked, Ching, you didn't persuade your cousin to break up with Yang Ling, did you? You mustn't stop her. I stared at him in astonishment, then pulled him to a secluded place and whispered, honey, have you also been reborn? His expression was clearly one of pleasant surprise. Wife, you've been reborn too. This life, we definitely won't meddle in other people's affairs. We'll just focus on living our own lives well. Good. Since you've been reborn, I'm relieved. After a tender moment, I said, right now your project is at a crucial stage. Go back. Don't delay it. And getting married isn't urgent. We're destined for each other. He reluctantly had a meal with me and then hurried back as the project was really pressing. A few more days passed and my second aunt suddenly called me, speaking in a hesitant tone, inviting me to meet and talk about something. I could roughly guess that they had noticed the strange marks on Lu Ruyan's body and probably wanted to come to me for advice. But what did it have to do with me? I told her to speak on the phone as I was very busy and couldn't get away. My second aunt, seeing my firm stance, hesitated for a moment before saying that she had found red marks on Lu Ruyan's body, as if from being whipped, a bruise on her neck, an injury at the corner of her mouth, and she walked in a strange way, seemingly in pain and taking in cold breaths. When she asked Lu Ruyan what was wrong, Lu Ruyan wouldn't say. After much thought, my second aunt and her family suspected that Yongling had beaten her, and asked if I knew if Yongling was a violent person and if I could help persuade him. I casually replied, "Second aunt, I really don't know much about Yongling's character. I have no contact with him. We're not in the same circle. As I said before, it's up to the two of them in a relationship. Outsiders can't interfere. They know best how they feel. Maybe this is a test of their love." My second aunt sighed. "Well, if it really doesn't work, we'd better let them break up. The young master of a wealthy family is really beyond our reach as ordinary people." My second uncle suddenly slapped the table hard and angrily said, "No way. They must stay together." My second uncle had been arrogant and unrestrained in his actions, and had already been fired from the company. He was now at home every day waiting for a windfall. He had boasted so much and had quarreled with all the relatives. If it didn't work out in the end, he would surely become a laughingstock and be unable to hold his head up. Moreover, he was reluctant to give up this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to rise to a high position. He had been mediocre for most of his life and must seize this chance. Only by enduring hardship can one become a superior person. He believed this was definitely a test of Lu Ruyan's loyalty. As long as she endured it, she could become a wealthy lady. My second aunt, having no opinion of her own, chimed in. "That makes sense. Let the younger generation handle their own affairs. Let's not interfere for now and see." Looking at this obsessed family, I was filled with nothing but speechlessness. I just echoed a few words and then hung up the phone. This life, I will definitely have nothing to do with this strange family with distorted values. Getting involved with them means trouble. As for the idea of revenge, I just thought about it briefly and then dismissed it from my mind. With the knowledge of the future from my previous life, I'm sure I'll live a happier life this time. Revenge might just bring me trouble. Yongling will take revenge on them for me. I just need to watch quietly. Sure enough, soon I received the news that my second uncle had been hospitalized with 3 broken ribs. My second aunt called me, crying, asking me to find someone to seek justice for them. I brewed a cup of tea, sat on the lounge chair on the balcony, and basked in the sun, ready to enjoy the drama. It turned out that day, when my second aunt found Lu Ruyan beaten black and blue and advised her to break up if she couldn't take it anymore, Lu Ruyan instead scolded her mother, telling her that she was living a good life and to mind her own business, and that she was just waiting to enjoy the benefits later as Yongling had given her a villa. Lu Ruyan was going to move out and never go home again. Later, because my second uncle always showed off to others that his daughter had a villa, someone taunted him, saying they had only seen the villa in photos. Had he ever been to the place? Would they let him in? My second uncle, drunk and provoked, dragged his friends to Lu Ruyan's villa, intending to show off. But when they got to the gate, the security guards wouldn't let him in and rudely drove them away. He assumed the airs of the house owner and scolded the security guards, saying they were just watchdogs and dared to show their teeth to the owner. He threatened to fire them in an instant. Yongling, who was looking for his dog in the villa, was disturbed by the commotion outside and came out displeased. When he heard that it was the father of his dog, referring to Lu Ruyan, who had come and was still being arrogant, he directly kicked my second uncle, breaking his ribs, and then slapped Lu Ruyan hard in front of everyone, saying, "You cheap woman, recognize your place." In fact, that villa was Yongling's dog training ground and was never bought for Lu Ruyan. She just fancied that it was. Lu Ruyan, reluctant to give up her dream of rising in status, still didn't wake up despite Yongling's obvious attitude. She knelt on the ground, hugging Yongling's leg, begging him not to abandon her and even declaring that she would cut off her father-daughter relationship with my second uncle. My second aunt was sobbing on the phone. "Ching, you have to think of a way quickly. Persuade Lu Ruyan to stop daydreaming and break up with Yongling, otherwise I'm afraid there will be even worse consequences in the future. She might even lose her life. Ching, you don't know. After that bully injured us, he sent someone to warn us not to talk nonsense, or else be careful of our lives. Doesn't seem like they're bluffing. The person really looked like a hitman. They have so much power. How can we ordinary people fight against them? Ching, quickly arrange a good job for your sister and introduce her to a guy with a decent family background. Someone with about 10 million in assets would be good. We can't let her sink deeper into this quagmire." I took a sip of tea and didn't even bother to retort. What were they thinking? But in my previous life I was really a fool. I revealed Yongling's true nature, forcing them to break up. After that, my second aunt also asked me to find a job for Lu Ruyan. There was also an underlying implication that since I had broken up her and her boyfriend and she had lost the chance to become wealthy, I should take care of her. After being pressured by them, I actually felt a bit guilty. I was also angry, but I didn't want to fall out with them at that time, so I endured it. Seeing Lu Ruyan looking so pitiful, I was really bewitched. I begged my boss to arrange a temporary job for her. Although it was a temporary job, our unit had excellent benefits and a high entry threshold. Even postgraduates had a hard time getting in. Lu Ruyan, a high school educated girl with no skills other than her looks, I managed to get her in. This made some people in our unit have a bad impression of me. Lu Ruyan also caused several problems, and I had to clean up after her, which had a bushel impact on my connections. She also made enemies, acting arrogantly and high-handedly. When she caused trouble at work, she always said, "My sister is some big shot. She has powerful connections. Dare you mess with me?" Her arrogant attitude gave me a headache and brought me a lot of trouble. I went to talk to my second aunt and second uncle, asking them to discipline Lu Ruyan. I told them that the workplace was different from home, and wouldn't tolerate her behavior. But my second aunt instead blamed me, saying that Lu Ruyan had told them that she was being bullied by others. She said that I sided with outsiders when I saw my sister being bullied, and didn't stand up for my own family. I could only swallow my anger. Later, tired of the trouble, I also tried to introduce guys to her. But Lu Ruyan didn't like any of them. However, at a dinner, a junior of mine with a fairly good family background took a fancy to her. Although he didn't have 10 million including his real estate, he was worth several million, more than enough to match Lu Ruyan. And then the subsequent events happened. This life I definitely won't harm myself again. I hurriedly soothed her saying, "Second aunt, Ruyan has always been extremely shrewd and sociable since she was a child. She's a clever girl, and she must have her own motives for doing this. Perhaps she's biding her time now, waiting to marry Yongling and then get a large sum of money, making up for all the grievances she's endured. We've all witnessed how much you've doted on her since she was young. When Ruyan said she would sever ties with you, it must be part of her act." My second uncle, upon hearing my explanation, beamed with joy and laughed heartily. "You're absolutely right. Patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. My daughter is just like me, a person with a firm resolve who can achieve great things. I understand her and fully support her." I continued, "Second aunt, if you don't believe me, give Ruyan a call and ask if she's acting." My second aunt actually did call, and soon received an affirmative answer. Her previous sorrowful demeanor immediately transformed into one of haughtiness. She said proudly to me, "Ching Ching, you're so smart. That's exactly what my daughter is thinking. Just wait, and at most half a year we'll be rich too. First she'll marry him, and then divorce him to get tens of millions or even hundreds of millions in property. Then I'll go traveling abroad. If you've been to any nice scenic spots, share them with us now." I casually fuyan le jijur and hung up the phone. Lu Ruyan is an extremely selfish person. She had intended to sever ties with her parents to please Yongling. Now that her parents called on their own initiative and provided her with an excuse, Lu Ruyan, being no fool, would surely deceive her family to leave herself an escape route. Why not? Perhaps because others had ridiculed my second uncle too much, he had the audacity to post on WeChat moments. "Today you ignore and mock me, but tomorrow you'll be unable to reach me. You snobs, just wait." When I saw this, I smiled without a word and let it pass. Let them wait and see what they were doing. Lu Ruyan's WeChat moments was filled with sharing her ladylike life every day. She was on a yacht on the beach, changing into various alluring outfits in a luxury bar. I felt a chill. Yachts are a hotbed for wild parties. And I noticed that she seemed less and less able to smile, and her makeup was getting heavier and heavier, evidently trying to cover something. Needless to say, they must be the marks of abuse. A few months later, she suddenly called me. First, she showed off how well Yongling treated her, and then falteringly asked me to lend her money. "Sister, lend me 100,000 yuan this time. Consider it an early investment. When I'm rich, I'll pay you back double. How about that? I still remember your kindness. I wouldn't give this opportunity to others." I said, "What? Yongling treats you well but doesn't give you any money?" Lu Ruyan forced herself to say, "Yongling likes independent women. He shows more spiritual care for me." I thought it was physical torture. As she spoke, she couldn't hold back anymore and burst into tears. "Sister, save me. I'm pregnant and I'm not sure if it's Yongling's. What should I do now?" A shiver ran down my spine. I didn't ask too many questions. In that circle, even if Lu Ruyan wanted to protect herself, it might not be up to her. "Lend me some money or accompany me to have an abortion. The pregnancy is still in the early stage and won't have much impact. It definitely won't affect Yongling's experience." She seemed to be mentally unstable and was analyzing on her own. "Recently, Yongling's attitude towards me has been getting worse and worse. He must be tired of me. Besides having an abortion, I also need to spend money on vaginal plastic surgery and piercing. So many things." Lu Ruyan, presumably having been suppressed for a long time, now opened up, shattering the glorious image she had previously created in front of me and pouring out her feelings. "Now only you can save me. The rest of our relatives at home are so poor and heartless, cold-blooded and jiaqing. When I asked them for money, they just hung up on me." I said, "Why don't you ask second aunt and second uncle for money? As long as you say you're about to become a wealthy lady, they'll surely support you." Lu Ruyan started to stammer again, trying to find an excuse to fuyan me. As soon as I heard it, I said, "If you don't want to say, forget it. Hang up." Seeing that she couldn't deceive me, Lu Ruyan had to tell me the truth. A while ago, she had tricked her family into sending her their only 100,000 yuan savings to buy a watch for Yongling. One can imagine that such a sycophantic act couldn't touch anyone but herself. Yongling took the money and brutally beat Lu Ruyan during their fun that day. This brainless Lu Ruyan even said to me, "He abuses me so perversely. He must love me deeply. Sister, in a few more months he'll definitely marry me. Believe me. Lend me the money." I was speechless. Lu Ruyan wasn't just lovesick. She was completely brain dead. She fantasized about getting rich overnight, mistaking the trap set by others for a lifeline and clinging to it tightly, being dragged step by step into a quagmire of complete destruction, in a desperate situation with no way out. Of course, it was also possible that Yongling and Lu Ruyan were a perfect match. One was a violent and perverted sadist and the other was a masochist at heart, who actually got excited when being beaten. Instead, if someone treated her kindly, she couldn't stand it and thought they were boring, and even committed adultery. After learning the truth and having enough of this drama, I said, I won't lend you money to let you harm yourself. Having an abortion is too harmful to your body. You should also reflect on why Yongling treats you like this. I started lecturing her on all sorts of principles, but in fact I didn't solve any of her problems. Lu Ruyan flew into a rage when she heard this and hung up the phone directly. She even complained on WeChat moments that our family had no heart and was just trying to suck her blood. I was left feeling confused. Who was sucking her blood? The next time I got news about Lu Ruyan was when my husband and I had already gotten married and his startup company had become famous and was on the news. Rotho. Below the Rotho was a piece of information about a naked woman acting like a dog on the subway. I clicked in and saw, without any mosaic, that it was Lu Ruyan's face. She had stripped naked in the subway carriage, with a dog chain around her neck, crawling forward on the ground, her expression extremely numb. Looking at her belly, it was bulging, and she must have been pregnant for several months, perhaps almost due. Opening the comment section, people were cursing harshly. Lu Ruyan is doing her owner's task. We've become part of their game. The world has gone crazy. There were also some sisters who stood up for Lu Ruyan and called the police for her. But what was the use? I silently closed the comment section. It was just her own doing. Soon this news was removed. Only then did my second aunt and second uncle's dream of getting rich completely shatter. They called me again, begging me to save their daughter. Miss, please save your sister. She's possessed now. When we went to find her, she didn't recognize us at all and even had someone break your second uncle's just healed ribs again. She completely cut off ties with us. It seems her mental state is also not good. She laughed maniacally and told us that whoever tried to stop her from becoming a wealthy lady, she would kill. Right in front of us, she twisted the head off the cat she was raising. It was so bloody. Hurry up and send her to a mental hospital for treatment. Then, after the child is born, find a good family to take it in and send her to another city to live a good life. You're her sister. You have to take responsibility for her. In my previous life, I was really kind-hearted and thought for her, but what was the result? How could I possibly interfere? Moreover, to prevent them from coming to my workplace to look for me, I had long since gone overseas for a 3-year work assignment. My parents had also gone on a global trip early on and didn't care about anything. I casually fuyan soa, okay, I'll arrange someone to try. But you've seen Lu Ruyan's current state. My second uncle flew into a rage and said, no, you must save her. You're her sister, and you have this responsibility. If you don't save her, I'll make you pay. Lu Ruyan must come back and marry a rich man. She still has to provide for my old age. Since we had already fallen out, I simply hung up the phone and blocked them. Anyway, I was abroad now, and they definitely didn't have the ability to come find me. By the time I returned to China after my 3-year training, who knew what would have happened to them? Oh, I also heard from relatives that my second uncle had become addicted to drugs and lost all his assets like his house. The reason he was so desperate to suck Lu Ruyan's money was because of this. I wonder how long he can still be safe. A month later, I was walking in the park with my husband when his colleague sent a video link asking, look, is this your wife's no-good sister? It's gone viral on the foreign website with millions of likes. Opening the video, there was a scene of a woman acting like a dog drinking urine. Someone made her smell a smelly leather shoe and lick their feet, and she made a very enjoyable expression. I felt a shudder and stopped watching. Judging from the voices of the people in the video, it should be in Myanmar. I guess, could it be that Yongling sold her there after getting tired of her? Or did this woman find some big brother, and was deceived and went there? Just thinking about it, my husband and I had the same thought. We wouldn't let such a despicable person occupy our mental space and affect our mood. Although Lu Ruyan's video had gone viral on the foreign website, people in China seemingly didn't know about it. That day, my second uncle was still arrogant and asked other relatives to tell me, fortune changes in 30 years. Don't be so arrogant. Our family remembers that you refused to help when she was in trouble. Now Lu Ruyan has called us to go abroad and get rich. When we become billionaires, it will be time to slap you in the face. Fine, so Ruyan has a way out in Myanmar, right? Later, I heard that at first my second uncle and second aunt would call home, saying they were living extremely well there and wouldn't trade their life for that of a king. They asked other relatives to go there too, saying they could make a fortune there. The rest of the family were all living well. Although some weren't extremely wealthy, their lives were decent enough that they didn't need to go abroad. After my second uncle's family made many calls and saw that no one responded, they stopped. Later, they couldn't be reached at all. They must have gone to heaven to enjoy a good life. The end.